Okay, so I told you guys I would do a video and show you how I do the wood grain on the lid of my mold. I sanded down the edges a little bit, so I'm going to show you guys. You could use this on anything. You could do this on wood, on a variety of applications. So I use just this regular folk art paint in the color dark brown, and then khaki could be any acrylic paint that you want. And then I use black to mix it in just to give it some variety and some depth. Let me move this thing out of the way so I don't break it. And then this is the key right here, is this pickling wash. And I'm not even sure if they make this anymore, but okay, a little note from Editing Leanna here. So I did a little research after I finished filming the videos, and I found pickling wash on Amazon, but they seem to be out of stock on every single color. So I don't know if they make this anymore. Even on their website, Plaid is the company that makes folk art paint. I still can't find it seems to be out of stock, so I'm wondering if they discontinued it. But even if they did, no big deal. You could just mix regular acrylic paint with water, which I'll talk about in this video. I hate when they discontinue things that are great like this. This is it's a great product. I don't know why they discontinued it, but it seems to be out of stock. And there's some websites where they still have some, but either way, you really could just mix, paint and just water it down a little bit and get the same exact effect. So I guess people realize that. I don't know. But I'm not really 100% clear if they still make this, but I figured I'd share with you guys because you're going to hear me about 10 times in the video say that I'm not sure if they still make it. So I'm here in Michael's and I'm looking to see if they have the pickling wash. And here's all the folk art paint. I'm not seeing it. I can't believe they stopped making this. They definitely don't sell it here, so yeah, that stinks. Here's some of their other paints. Patio paint, terracotta. I'm not seeing it. They got triple thick texture sand. Ooh, I might have to buy this. And here's all their mediums, and I don't see it. So, you could probably, you might even be able to use something like this, blending gel, or something like that. But yeah, they don't seem to sell that anymore, so I guess they discontinued it. That stinks. I'm wondering if you could use these watercolor gels in the same way as the pickling wash, because I would imagine they're more watered down. I can't believe they don't make this anymore. Ain't that some ish? This is the best. I spent $1.50. Not even sure if they make this anymore, but it's not necessary, but it's definitely pretty helpful. And the only reason is because it's kind of watery, as you guys will see. And then you just need a regular paintbrush, and this is a chip brush. They're really crappy brushes, but I have found that the best ones that I could find are from Harbor Freight. That is another thing that is key to making the wood grain finish. Brushes like these, they're cheap and they're really good. And then I take a paper plate. I have paint palettes, but I like to use the paper plate for the specific reason that the paper plate just allows me more space to mix. And then not necessary, you could use a regular knife, but I got my little palette mixer here. So what I do for starters is I take just a little bit of the paint and I put it here. And I'm probably running out of this paint because I do use it quite a bit. And I sped this up because I was struggling a little with getting it out. So you just start off with a little bit of that. And just because I don't like this brown, it's like too brown, I take just a dot, just a little dot of black paint, like that. A dab, I should say, right? And then this is how I mix it. Just scoop that up. And it flew in there itself. Let me get the rest of this. Okay. And what it does is it turns it into a darker brown color, like a really dark brown. And in fact, this might be a little too dark, so let me just, sorry, just trying to get this out. Get a little more brown in there. There you go. Okay. I'm going to put that upside down. So that it, this. And it doesn't have to be exact, just whatever you, you get it to the shade that you like it. I like the darker brown, and you'll see why in a minute when I am done. So when you're mixing paint, you kind of just want to scrape it. I mean, you can mix it with your brush. I just like to use this. And it's always good to have a paper towel handy. So you can wipe your brushes off and stuff in between. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to wipe my brush off and start off with the base layer, just covering the base. So that's step one. Just giving it some coverage. That's all. You want to give it a good layer of paint. And I try to just go around the edges like this. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a base layer. And this stuff dries pretty quick. So you don't have to, worry about waiting too long. I don't know if you've ever worked with oil paints, then you'll know that oil paints take quite a bit of time to dry. Like a lot of time. So I'm just going to paint these four and put down the base layer, which is the darker layer. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I like to get it on a little thick just so that it gives a green, okay? Because we're looking for a wood finish, right? So if we have brush strokes in there, that's going to work to our advantage, right? So I'm not painting in all different directions. I go left to right, left to right. That's very important that you do that because, wood has a green that goes one way, right? So we want to kind of keep it like that. Okay, so I sped this up while I'm just finishing off painting the rest of them. I try to leave them on the paper towel, but since I'm filming, I had to pick them up and handle them a little bit because I couldn't really move them out of the camera range. But this stuff dries, pretty quickly. I'm just trying to get down a really thick base coat, The reason I don't like to pick them up is just because I don't like to get, I get paint all over my hands and then it's on the bottom and I have to clean it up and it's just kind of making extra work for myself. But just basically, covering the edges here. And then I let it dry a little bit. And then once it dried, I just went back and touched up any areas where you could see the paint. Gonna let this dry. I like to let this first layer kind of dry so that it is easier to work with. Because what happens is if you go back in while this is wet, it starts pulling the paint off, the paint that we already did. We don't want that to happen. So let's just let this get a good dry top layer and I'll be back in a couple minutes. All right, so I let these dry for about like 10, 15 minutes. And now we're gonna go on to the next step, which is the fun part. I just wanted to make sure that there was like no sheen on here. So those are good. I have paint all over my hands because I'm a messy painter. So this is the next part. I use the pickling wash. Now, again, I don't know if they still sell this. I'm pretty sure they do. I should have looked that up while I was waiting for the paint to dry. But what I do is I just squirt out a little bit here on the plate. And there's somehow Ovi's hair got in there. Sorry. All right. And it's a gray pickling wash, which I don't know if they make this in other colors. I'm going to assume they do. But to me, it looks like just a watered down paint, okay? Which before I realized I had this, because I had it for some other project. Before I realized I had it, I was just basically watering down regular paint. So you could do that as well. All right. And then I take a little bit of this color, which is, what is this? Khaki. I think I got this one from Walmart, this apple barrel paint. So doesn't matter what brand, doesn't matter what browns, doesn't have to be exact. Just get a dark shade and then two maybe lighter shades. The gray just kind of, I don't know, it looks good with this darker brown. So what I do then is I have my chip brush, okay? And I wipe that off. It was in the water. And I just dip it in here. And we don't want this saturated, so I try to get out a lot of what I just put on there. So I might even do that just to get a little extra off. And I just drag it side to side like this, okay? That's all you want to do, okay? Drag it. And that might even be a little too much, more than I even like to put, but that's okay. We could always go back in. Like, there's no really messing this up, which is why I like doing it. So I'm just gonna get a little more on my brush. I'm gonna wipe the brush off. Okay. And that is more so what I like to do. Now, I like this one because it's translucent. And you know what? If it goes on too thick like that, you could put some water on your brush and then kind of wipe it off, you know, water it down a little bit. So I just go left to right like this, okay? And this stuff is really, really watery. So there's a little too much water on this one. So we're just gonna keep drying that out, dragging it and just trying to get, I'm pushing down with the brush to try to remove some of it. I want to get some of it off. It's a little too much on there. Okay. We'll do the same thing here and here. This one's really watery looking for some odd reason. Oop, I think I'm going the wrong way against the green here. Maybe not. Okay. And you could kind of see it's already taking on that effect, that it's kind of looking like a wood grain. Especially this one for some reason. And I don't know why that happens. It's the more you mess around with it, the more you're going to get that effect. I forgot to mention here that basically what I'm doing is it's called dry brushing. So I don't have any more paint on the brush. I'm just kind of moving it around until it dries down a little bit to give it that wood grain, line effect. You don't want to keep putting paint on your brush. You want very minimal amounts of paint on your brush, and then you just want to kind of dry brush it on. You don't want to saturate the brush. And if you don't have this pickling wash, again, you just apply the paint, very watered down, and then just do the same thing, with your brush. Make sure it's dry and just kind of drag it through until it starts thinning out a little bit and leaving those lines. As you see, as this stuff kind of dries down a little bit, it kind of darkens up. So while this is wet, I then will go into the other that's khaki color. And I take that, and again, I don't want that much on my brush. Just a very small amount. And I start dragging that through. Just to give it like another variation. I feel like it makes it look a little bit more realistic. You see that? There's like another tone in there. I don't know. To me, it makes it look a little more realistic. So I'm just going back into where I dragged it. So it's getting kind of hung up in the high area up here. I don't want too much of this color. It's just kind of like an accent kind of color. And again, I'm going to apply some pressure on this one just to remove some. Sometimes I go back, and they're not all going to look identical, which is fine. But they're going to look similar. They're cousins. They're not twins. All right. Oops, I accidentally picked up a little of the pickling wash too. So if it helps to go sideways like this too, sometimes hold the brush, sideways instead of like this. That kind of helps get that drag effect that you want. They actually I have a tool that does that. It leaves a wood grain. It's like this rubber, almost stamp looking thing. It's pretty cool, but you could get the same effect, but I don't know if it would work in this sense. All right, so if you feel like you got rid, like I'm pretty happy with these, but if you feel like you got rid of too many of the dark tones, and it's too light, what you could do is you could take the chip brush again, right? And I pretty much used all my dark paints, so I don't think I have, it's pretty dried up, yeah. I got a little bit on the edge there, okay? And just kind of go back in there and add some of the darker tones back in. So I might actually mix up a little bit more brown. It's not exact. Nobody's gonna know if it's like a little off. Okay, so we do that. Wipe that off. And then I'm just gonna dip into that lightly. And again, I don't want, like you see that's way, where is it? Way too much on the brush. I don't want that much. So I'm just gonna dab some in this paper towel, kind of wipe it, and then we could go back in with the brown. Just get a little bit brown tone in there, just to darken it up just a tad. I might even need a little more than that. You could water it down. That's another way you could do this. Before I found the pickling wash, that's basically what I did was I just kind of used my brush really, really wet. That would kind of give you the same effect. So I'm just adding some more darker tones into here. And this stuff, the pickling wash stuff, it dries really super quick. So it's kind of key to the effect, but you don't, you know, it's not necessary. And then if you do this and you're like, oh, I don't like the way it came out, you could always, like over here, there's a little too much of that khaki color. Okay, and over here, there's not enough. So let's go back in with the pickling wash and just touch that little area up. You see? The pickling wash is key. It kind of blends everything together. So I should really look and see if they still make this stuff. Whoops. What happened there? It's all right. I'll just blend it out again. You see, and it still gives you the wood grain effect. I feel like we need some over here on the side. So we're still getting that effect. It still looks like wood. Okay, and then the sides, what I'll do is I'll come back in, and on this on the sides, you really want to get it more on the side of the brush. And I'll just kind of move it around. I would typically wait, but since I'm showing you guys how to do this, I'm gonna get it all over the place. I typically wait for the tops to dry a little bit more, you know. And I seem to have totally forgot I was filming this, so I'm not even in the camera's view. So we'll just speed right past this, and I'm gonna show you guys an example of something else I did with the same technique. Using the same technique, just with different things. This is if you guys have seen my website, you've seen this shelf. I take a lot of my pictures on it. It was just like a regular wood color. I don't think that was it. And I didn't like it. It just looked so plain. So I used chalk paint. It's got a little stain on it. And I used the wax, same exact way. Chalk paint, there's like a wax that you use. So I did the same technique on there. Okay, and for the sake of not making this video hours long, I just wanted to show you that I basically did the same thing that I did on the tops, on the side, the same exact technique, only I just kind of used the side of the brush. That's it. But just basically made the lines there until it looked like a wood grain finish, and then that was pretty much it. All right, so I'm pretty satisfied with the way these look. Now, let me go get the remover so that I could get the paint off the bottom. So this is Goof Off. It's pretty strong, so make sure you use it in a well-ventilated area. But if you got any, you know, paint, I mean, look, they're not gonna be perfect, but I could try to get off as much paint. That I don't mind. I just don't want it on this bottom part right here. So I'm just going to wipe those down. I didn't realize this the last time I did them. So some of the candles that I sent out probably had some on the bottom just because I didn't even realize this stuff would work. I kind of figured it out by accident. You see that though? It is getting it off the edge right here where I kind of painted over. I need more. It dries up pretty quickly. See, it's coming right off. So any excess, you know, if you made a mistake or whatever, you could just wipe it right off with this. Now this one's pretty bad, so let's clean this up. So this one I really messed up. So let's get in there and clean that bad boy up. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it, you know. So I just finished cleaning these up because I feel like it just gives it a more polished, professional look when there's not, you know, paint blobs everywhere. And I wish I knew this for the first set that I sent out. But now that I know it, I will be cleaning all of them. I figured I would share this with you guys because you could really use this technique on pretty much anything that you could use acrylic paint on. Any surface. If you're doing like a picture frame or a background for something, you know. So yeah, so that's it, guys. Those are how I do my wood grain lids. I'm gonna let them dry and I'll show you how they look when they're paired up with the vessel. Okay, so here are the white vessels. Remember we made these the other day. I gotta sand them still, but these are the white vessels that I made in my video. They've been sitting for like 2 days now. So I'm gonna let them sit a little bit more and then I have to seal the inside. But for now, this is what they look like. Showed you guys what it looked like when it was just with the white, and just look at how much of a difference that makes. I feel like it really takes it up a notch, you know, and makes it look a lot more classy looking. I don't know, it gives it some more visual interest. And then when I'm done, when I ship these out, I fill them with wax, obviously, with the candle, and then I tie them with what's that stuff called? Raffia. It's like a straw, and they look super cute. So I personally love the way that this looks. And those are my wood finished lids. I think they look really cute with this white vessel. So, so that's that. That's how I paint my lids. And if you guys like these kind of videos from me, I gotta clean up this one a little better. If you guys like these types of videos from me, I will, you know, make some more videos. I enjoy sharing my love of crafting with you guys. So, so there's a finished one, you guys can see. And I think it looks pretty cool. So that's that.